to Scoreline 48 Nations presented by BetMGM. We're going to focus now on that rather nervous battle to finish inside the magic number and qualify for the round of 32 as one of the third place teams. This is the table as it stands at the moment. You can see those top 5 teams that have got a Q next to their name. They're already through. They've done enough, sitting on 4 points, although Senegal have got 3, but because of their better goal difference, they know they are through. So we're going to focus on the teams towards the bottom. Some of them inside, some of them on the outside looking in. So Croatia, South Korea, Algeria and Scotland. We'll start with Croatia, who are on 3 points from a couple of games with a -1 goal difference. They're looking forward to their final group game against Ghana. What's the feeling here, Marcelo? Do you think Croatia will get the job done against Ghana and then move through to the round of 32?
I think Ghana's going to win. Be honest with you, I think Ghana, the way they've been playing, Croatia, I mean, barely squeaked by Panama. They played so well. So I see Ghana giving them a hard time. I see Ghana being able to exploit the wings with their pace. I see Croatia in 3rd place.
It's funny because a lot of people, Michael, when they looked at this group, when it was drawn, thought it was England and Croatia were comfortably the better teams, although I agree with what Cello's saying. They weren't very good in the England game where they got back into it, made it 2-2, but England overran them in that one. And they just don't seem to have the fluidity that we've seen in the past from a Croatia team who were always dangerous to play.
Yeah, I think it's an aging group that maybe just don't have the legs that they used to. This was a Croatia side when Luka Modric wasn't 40 years old, and you wind back, hey, there he is,
there
Luka.
He is.
Let's just brush off there. No, when he was much younger, much more mobile, and it's a testament to his professionalism that he's still able to get around the pitch. I said coming into this World Cup that the big thing and the big storyline to focus on is this upcoming generation. You think of Martin Baturina, friend of the network. You think of Petr Sucic, who won the double with Inter. Those players, they've had their moments, but they need to take a game and grab it by the scruff of the neck. I actually think that this could be the game to unlock a stubborn Ghanaian back line. I can see where the concerns are because Croatia, the big thing that they struggled with, one player that I thought was very poor and came off at halftime is Joško Gvardiol. Uncharacteristically poor from him in the recent match. A player who needs to be at his best to maybe snuff out some of the counterattacks from Ghana because they have some speedsters. You think of Iñaki Williams. I wouldn't say one of the Ayew brothers because he's been poor for Leicester City and for Ghana for the most part. But there is some speed off the bench for the Ghanaians. But Croatia's biggest enemy is not being clinical enough in the final third. Okay, Ante Budimir can score goals in La Liga, scored the game-winning goal against Panama, but you really need someone to take responsibility of scoring goals for Croatia to get out of third and get into second and maybe make another dark horse run.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do have it still all on the table. Unlikely, but they could still technically win the group, depending on what England do in their game against Panama. What would it mean for Croatia if they don't get through, Cello? What would that say about football and where it's going in this country?
Listen, generations come and go, okay? Sometimes we ride a generation for too long, hence the 2018 U.S. national team. We rode that generation, and look what happened. We didn't qualify. This team here with Modric, he can't pull the strings like he used to. He's not doing what we saw him do 4 years ago, so I get that. But I think if they don't get into the knockout, if they happen to lose, they don't make it through, then now you've got to start looking at bringing in some younger players. You got to start looking at rebuilding this team because Croatia has always been up here when we talk about soccer. So they're still there. They just probably need a few younger souls in that team.
Okay, let's have a look at South Korea now. Been a bit of a disappointing campaign for them so far, hasn't it? They haven't really achieved what we thought that they might. They do have some talented players in their squad and in their team, and these are the qualification scenarios for them. And 2 of these 3 have to happen, as you can see at the bottom there. They need Algeria to lose against Austria, DR Congo to draw or lose against Uzbekistan, and Croatia must lose in their game against Ghana. So it's not looking very good for South Korea, is it, Michael?
No, it's really disappointing, Adam. And you think of the heroics in the opening game against Czechia, where I was starting to think, okay, maybe I was wrong about South Korea. I wasn't too high on South Korea. And that might sound a bit crazy because they have this fella in Son Heung-min, who's been the gold standard for Korean football and Asian football as a whole. But ever since after the U.S. men's national team friendly, Cello, he hasn't looked like himself when he's put on the Korean national team jersey. In my opinion, there's a bit of friction. It seems like some friction, at least, between him and the head coach, Hyung-min Bo. And they're two legends, and Bo making some big decisions.
You know why, though, right?
Why is that?
LA Galaxy.
Okay. That might be one of the reasons there. But it's so disappointing because this switch to a 3-4-3 doesn't fit South Korea as a whole. You can see the discomfort. You can see the lack of ideas in the final third. And I would be shocked if they get 2 out of 3 of these to happen. For me, their World Cup is done. I don't see them making it.
The sun is setting, unfortunately.
There we go.
The sun is setting.
That's why we pay the big bucks.
No, but listen, in MLS sees 0 goals, 9 assists. When he came in, he tore it up. Now, you know what I mean? Sometimes it just doesn't click. You know, players go up and they have good months, bad months. They're not feeling it. I just don't see him being the same player when he puts on the South Korea jersey anymore. And he's getting up there. He can still play. I mean, he's at a high level with MLS and what he's doing with LAFC. But where he goes, that team goes. And that he's not playing well, and that team's not playing well right now.
Yeah, still a legend, though. What an international career. He's been their talisman for so long. Let's kick it on to Algeria. They're probably happy just to even have a chance here because we saw them against Argentina and the great Messi in the first game. They had absolutely no clue how to stop him. Well, they didn't stop him, did he? Because he scored a hat-trick. This is the qualification scenario for them. They've got to beat Austria. And any other result other than a win over Austria means they will be eliminated. I think going into the tournament, Michael, a few people had Algeria as maybe not a dark horse, but a team that could cause some of the bigger teams trouble. And I think we're surprised at how poorly they played against Argentina. Have they redeemed themselves a bit since then?
Yeah, look, I think getting some of the young players with up-and-coming big profiles, you think of Ibrahim Massa, who will be the face of this Algerian national team. I just think that this competition, the World Cup, comes one cycle too soon for Algeria. I'm hoping to be proved wrong with the performance against Austria. But there's just this inherent question mark I have over the goalkeeping situation. We've seen Zidane have a couple wobbles. He should get the Golden Boot or share of it if Messi wins it, because I thought he was really poor. I thought he had a hand in that 3-0 defeat to the hands of Argentina. But players like Bentaleb, maybe there's still some magic in the boots of Riyad Mahrez coming off the bench. But overall, as Ibrahim Massa goes, this Algerian side really goes. I don't think that this will be the World Cup to shine for them. The Africa Cup of Nations, though, keep an eye on them. They might be one of the teams to watch.
What do you reckon, Cello? Have they got, if they do manage to get through, have they got any chance of turning it on?
Watching Austria play, I just feel like they've got a little more. You know what I mean? I feel like they've got a little more.
I don't see them
Algeria.
beating Austria.
Yeah,
I don't either.
I'm with you.
So I think this team is maybe a cycle away, maybe a World Cup away. Maybe this is their World Cup to get all this experience with the younger players, and they build into the next one. But I just don't see how they're going to beat Austria. Austria was very organized. They had a few wobbles too, but overall, the structure and how they play, I have a hard time seeing Algeria beating them.
Now, let's move it on to Scotland. We have a rather jumpy Scotsman at the network who occasionally wears a kilt onto this show. Maybe, if he is watching, want to turn off the TV for a few minutes while we go through this one, because it's looking fairly unlikely, shall we say. Qualification scenarios for Scotland. Yeah. Ghana must beat Croatia by 3+ goals. Uzbekistan draw or win against DR Congo, but it must be less than 3 goals. And Austria must beat Algeria by 2 or more goals. Probably not going to happen, is it, Michael? And actually, when you look at the way that Scotland played in those games, they did beat the team they should beat, which is obviously Haiti. Yeah. But not by enough. They needed to be a bit more attacking in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you literally talk about threading the needle to have every single thing happen, but football is a crazy game. I just think that every single Scotsman and our crazy Scotsman here at the network, Ian Joy, all they've heard and everything that we're talking about, they're saying, so you're saying there's a chance.
And we would literally never hear the end of it if they do this.
Oh, you hear him screaming from down the hall. Ah! No, this is impossible. I don't see this happening. And just every single result just about today stacking up, but there's still hope. You would, I think Algeria would have to fall off a cliff. Every single team would have to fall off a cliff.
You'd almost say even one of these.
I'll put on a kilt if Scotland makes it through.
Okay.
All right, how's that? I'll put on the kilt. I don't see how they're going to do it. Listen, they had a hard time against Haiti, and I just don't see where they're going to get enough for all of this to happen and fall in. This would be all the stars falling into place on one day. I just don't see it happening.
A lot of criticism in Scotland for the way that Steve Clarke has perhaps approached this. Clearly, the defensive style and the low block was probably the way they needed to play to get it done against Haiti. And we don't want to criticise him too much. He did win that game, and it wasn't a foregone conclusion. But then they offered so little in the games against Brazil and Morocco. Did he go about this the right way?
I think he went about it completely wrong against Brazil. It almost seemed like he thought he was coaching Brazil, trying to get his back line to play out of the back. Cello, what's the old adage? When you're
talking about Morocco and Brazil, when you're got to be kidding me.
Like, literally, you have Henry, you have Robbo, you have all these defenders literally trying to, Adam, hey, come here. Jogo Bonito, I'll pass it around you.
Yeah.
No, come here, I'll pass it around you, Cello. You can't be doing that. He set up his team for absolute embarrassment and failure. And he got found out. And I'd have to say, Scotland, for as amazing an achievement this is, you see it with the Tartan Army, it's been a while now where Steve Clarke is kind of just said, let's go all out defend. Let's just abandon some of our previous principles of having an actual identity. Where going into the previous Euros, they actually played good football. And this World Cup, it just seemed pragmatic and reactive in his coaching. And one thing I'll say, I'm not a big fan of his reaction after the
Walking
match.
out in the
It was
interview.
very childish for me. It says a lot about him right now.
Listen, I'm never going to question, because sitting here watching TV, and a lot of people do this, they think they have all the answers. It's not your job on the line. It's not your job to put a team together. You've got to do what best fits your team. How would you play if you were Scotland against Brazil?
Not bad.
I would play a low block. I'm not going to open myself up for these guys to come beat me. I don't know if Scotland has the team to be able to compete, really compete. So I understand why he played a low block, and I think a lot of coaches come into this thinking, if I play a low block, if I get out of the Brazil game, if I get out of this game 1-0, it gives me an opportunity somewhere to get 3 points. So I'm not going to judge that. I just think that most teams nowadays, Australia, Austria, you see that low block, and you've got to have special talent to be able to quickly transition into the offensive side. Australia has those players. Scotland doesn't.
OK, let's go back to our live third-place table. So this is as it stands going into Saturday's matches. Obviously, as you can see, some teams have played 2 games, others have played 3 and are finished in terms of the group stages. Who makes it and who misses out, Michael?
Look, I still think Iran has done enough to get through and punch their ticket, solely because, like we were all sitting there saying, I just don't see Algeria getting the result to get through and beating Austria. I just don't see it. And I hope I'm wrong, because that would be good for African football to get another team. And Scotland, there's that saying, no Scotland, no party. Well, the party's going to continue. There's just going to be no Scotland here. That's not going to happen. And DR Congo, man. DR Congo, we've seen them do the unthinkable against Nigeria, but now they got to come out of their defensive shell. So it's DR Congo's place to lose. I see DR Congo getting in, Korea getting out. So Scotland, Korea, Algeria, adios, go home.
So you're going to have Iran, Croatia, and DR Congo are your 3 who make it. Cello?
Nice. Yeah, you know, I can see South Korea dropping out. I can see Scotland dropping a little bit more. I think Congo will. I think Congo will jump in there. I think that I think Croatia is going to stay there. I think Iran's going to stay. And I think the big surprise will be is when South Korea drops down below that level.
Okay. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think South Korea, they had it in their hands, and ultimately they're going to fail. So we'll have to wait and see over the course of Saturday to see what pans out.